Okay, so here we are with Katie Benzan, and ESPN Deportes Digital's special project for Hispanic Heritage Month is Latinas in the WNBA, past, present, and future. And Katie, you represent a more diverse present and future for the WNBA. In May, you debuted and became the first Dominican player in the history of the WNBA. What does that mean to you?
It was such an honor to represent my family, my country, my culture in the WNBA. And it's a great sign to just expand the diversity in the WNBA. It's just been an honor just to open some fans' eyes, just to see that there's more out there than just within the United States. And as we see with more and more diverse players come into the WNBA, it's really become more such a global sport. And it just adds such a new level of fun and entertainment to the sport.
Have you actually had some reactions from Dominican Republic?
I've had a few. My dad is really in touch with that community, so all the communication goes through him. But it's been really fun just to see either on social media or within my DMs or even just some phone calls. It's just been a lot of fun just to get the great news, and it's been just such an honor. And I'm so privileged and fortunate to represent my community.
Eh, Tell us about your background, your cultural background. You mentioned your father, but what is your yeah, your cultural background?
So I'm biracial. So my dad and his side of the family is Dominican, and then my mom is Irish. And so with my dad's family, we speak a little bit of Spanish, but my mom actually speaks not one single word of Spanish. But just my favorite part is just at Christmas when we go visit my dad's side of the family. We make empanadas, we make pastelitos. It's just really fun just to see that little taste of home. And then when I was younger, we got to visit the Republic, and it was such a pretty country. I can't wait to go back.
That's awesome. Um, how much do you think is left to do in terms of maybe diversity inclusion in the WNBA?
I think the WNBA has done a great job in all aspects of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think they've taken, as an organization, as a league, the first few steps in that direction. But I think there's always more to do in terms of the flights, just in equity along gender lines. And then in terms of diversity, just opening it up to so many talented women, and it's not just in the United States. And I think that'll come with the expansion of the league, just more roster spots, because at the end of the day, there's just not enough for the amount of talent we have.
And you're, I think, an example of that. I mean, you've come with credentials. I mean, what we saw from you was a record-breaking player. I mean, in two colleges, which is pretty amazing. I mean, tell us what you tell us about your college experience in your words, and then we'll ask about your entry into the league.
Yeah, I've had quite a journey. So first, I started at Harvard, and I played 3 years there, and I'm just so lucky to be able to attend Harvard. I just the school in it of itself speaks volumes. But just the basketball realm, it was so nice to play in the Ivy League. It was a lot of fun playing against great competition. And then I transferred to the University of Maryland, and I played at a bigger level in the Big Ten as at a Power Five conference. And just that jump and that adjustment was, a whole new adventure and a whole new challenge. And that's what I wanted in my last couple years. And with COVID, I always joke around with my mom that the one silver lining is I got an extra year of college basketball with it. So just having that extra 2 years, it was just icing on the cake in terms of my college career.
and what you showed, especially I think at Maryland, was your prowess in terms of triples, breaking a single game record. Um, would you say that's one of your specialties? What would you say is your specialty on the court?
I would say that would probably, if I had to pick one, maybe my shooting ability. But I really going to Maryland, Coach Brenda Freeze really moved me to the shooting guard position, and so that was honestly my job to, be a three-point threat to space out the floor. And so playing with such a dynamic and fun point guard and Ashley Owusu, she really knew how, like, when I was open, the timing in terms of that to really zing it to me when I'm open, and just playing with such a great point guard was so much fun. But interestingly enough, at Harvard, I was the point guard. So I didn't necessarily shoot as many threes. I was more of a distributor, facilitator, and just, doing whatever my team needs to win. And at Maryland, that was shooting a little bit more threes. So I really, I guess, grew my prowess, as you said.
Well, showing a little bit that you can do it all. But you came into the league undrafted, but it's been a tough first year. Tell us about your first year.
Yes, I went undrafted, and then I think about a week later, I got a call from head coach Mike Tebow with the Washington Mystics, just asking if I wanted to show up for training camp. And he said it would be a great experience to learn from such legendary players. And of course I said yes. And so the next day I was there for training camp and practice, and it was an incredible experience, just learning from such incredible basketball minds. Growing up, I read about Elena Deladon and her own journey, and now I'm doing passing drills with her, and she set me a screen. I'm like, wow, this is surreal. And then as a fellow point guard, just learning from Natasha Cloud and how she reads the defense, it was just incredible just to learn from their wisdom and their years in the league.
But it didn't last too long. You wish it, of course, um, you wish it had lasted. We all wish it had lasted longer because, like you said, talented players like you, it's just there's not enough spaces right now in the league. I think that's
Yeah, it's the league is at a turning point, honestly, right now, with just how tough it is to not only get drafted, but to stay on a roster. There have been points where women drafted in the first round who aren't on rosters to this day. And it to me, it's a little bit heartbreaking because I know how much hard work it takes to succeed at a high level. And so I wish that there were more opportunities for women across the nation, across the world. But everyone has their own path, no matter how difficult. Everybody has diversity. And so it's just how you react to it and how you face it. And then that'll determine your path.
so. What is the day in the life, or for a free agent? What's a day in the life of a free agent?
Um, I think it's different for everybody. For me, I'm taking a step back away from basketball. I actually got a job with the Utah Jazz. So I am not pursuing playing as of right now. So for me, it's just, first of all, preparing to move across the country from Boston to Salt Lake City. And then staying in shape is very key. And then just preparing for my job, just learning about all the ins and outs of professional basketball, both on the women's side and the men's side.
Wow, what are you going to do with the Jazz?
I'm working in basketball operations.
Well, that's pretty impressive, actually.
Thank you.
It is, because we're always talking about women breaking into the NBA in different capacities. So you're a young woman. And so I think you're not completely breaking away from basketball.
No, no, it's a passion of mine. I could never completely break that. It's been basically my life for 20 years now. I'm 24, so about 20 years, yeah. It's just a
And
different side of the game.
are you hoping the WNBA calls?
I don't know, I can't really answer that right now. I'm just focusing on, cementing my apartment, shipping my car out there, just the little details that it takes to move across the country. And then when I'm settled, I'll answer those big questions, I guess.
What do you think when you entered the league? It meant to see other people with similar backgrounds, like you, like Diana Taurasi. She's really always been so proud of her Argentinian background. What can you tell us of what she has meant to the WNBA, Diana Taurasi?
Yeah, Diana Taurasi is an icon across not just within women's basketball, but across sports. And so just to see how her work ethic and her dedication to her craft has really advanced her game, more than anyone could suspect. She's about 40 years old now and she's still excelling at the top of her game. And just to see what it takes to excel at that level for that long, it just points to her character. And she's just such a role model for me and other young women.
How about a Rebecca Lobo? So she pretty much started at the beginning of the league, and but she keeps going strong now, being an analyst for ESPN.
Yes, she's incredible. Just her transition to another side of the game is just really admirable. Even in her telecast, you can just feel her love of the game and her passion and honestly her basketball IQ. You can really feel how well she knows the game, the ins and outs. And so she's just been really inspiring for me just to see that basketball is a good portion of our life, but it doesn't have to be our entire life. And so she's really transitioned to the next chapter of her life, and it's really inspiring.
Has Al Horford, in the NBA, been a role model at all in terms of your career?
Well, in terms of basketball, we play different positions, so not necessarily in that respect, but I just admire his work ethic and just to see his relationship with his dad. It's just really heartwarming and just to know that, no matter what your ethnicity is, the sky's the limit is for anyone.
Do you think that your cultural values helped you, helped lead you throughout your career, what you did at Harvard, what you did at Maryland, which was truly impressive, and then getting to the WNBA?
I truly do. Family is a huge part, and just it takes a village to excel at the highest level. Ever since I started playing basketball, both my parents, my brother, we were all part of each other's journeys. And so, especially with my brother, he also played basketball. So we always butted heads playing one on one, just having a buddy to go to the gym. It just makes the journey a little bit easier. And just so that just family value just really helped me progress even as it may get nitty and gritty and a little bit boring and a little bit, I guess, monotonous. It just helps to have those people that to go with this journey that you can talk it out, vent, and just it takes really a village.
Hispanic Heritage Month recognizes the contributions of Hispanic Americans to the history, the culture, the achievements um, to the of the U.S. You, as a Hispanic American woman, have made the sports world and this country a richer place. You made history. No one, like whether you play again in the WNBA or not, you've made history. Um, what does Hispanic Heritage Month mean to you?
The month weighs heavily on me, just with my own culture and my own family. I know how many sacrifices it took to first come to the United States and to live here and to survive here, and just so to have a month dedicated to not only my family and my culture, but across Hispanic people. It's just been really inspiring to hear those stories. And those stories really help me to put my life into perspective. You know, I do have 2 parents. I did grow up in the United States, and it just helps me to be, to put my life in perspective and to see it through a different lens. But honestly, it's an honor to be here, and that's why so many people make those sacrifices. And so as a child of my grandparents immigrated here, so as a grandchild of immigrants, we have to make the most of it. And so that's what I love about the month, just hearing about those stories and just taking lessons from them so that the next generation can be a step forward. And then the next generation will be another step forward, and we can keep going in the right direction.
Um, do you have any final words of advice, of wisdom for any young Dominican Latina women who want to play in the WNBA?
I mean, my only advice really is just you make up your own mind, right? So many people may say one thing or another, but at the end of the day, what you set your mind to, you can accomplish. And you may need to make sacrifices along the way. It may become difficult, but you have the choice to either pursue to be a doctor, to be a student, to be a lawyer, to be a professional basketball player, whatever it is, you have the choice to set your mind to whatever you want to aspire to.
Great. Thank you, Katie Benzan, for being with us for Hispanic Heritage Month on ESPN Deportes Digital.
Thank you.